Good evening and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, coming to you live via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. I am very excited to be here, very excited about my guest today as always, and I want to welcome everybody that's piling into the Facey chat. Kimberly, our guest today, Mike FitzPatrick, David Jordan, Aisha, how are you? I hope you guys are all well, and thank you so much for tuning in and listening and hanging out with me on the Facey chat. Stephen, Greg, Todd, hey. Levon, hello. Very excited to have Terry. I'm sorry I missed you. Very excited to have Mike FitzPatrick on. Well, I'm just laughing because I feel like the beginning of the broadcast when we were like chatting got caught. Mike's on hold, you guys. Mike's just listening, but we were chatting. I feel like part of the show. Which is fine. But anywho, it's a not so beautiful day here in Cape May County, but because it's like the wind is whipping. It looks like it's going to do something horrible, super ridiculous, cloudy outside. Weather's just bad. It's just bad. Life is not always a beach at the beach. What are you going to do? Oh, Shelly Kennedy is here, and Ellen Kelly. Hi. So, anyway. My guest today is Mike FitzPatrick, cybersecurity expert and founder and CEO of NCX Group. He's going to talk to us today about I titled it Your Social Media and You because there's just so much to cover under that topic. We're also going to discuss the Lord & Taylor and Panera Bread breaches. And we're also going to discuss how the city of Atlanta had a ransomware attack. So a lot to cover today, but Mike FitzPatrick is definitely the guy to do it. And hey, Sylvester Bland, Pastor Bland, hi. I know, I have missed you. Oh, so welcome to the chat. I'm so glad that you're here. So we're going to discuss all that stuff today. But before we get to that, a little bit of housekeeping. If you are not following me on Twitter, you can do so. Greg Wilson, it's the Russians. You can do so at Money Talk Mel on Twitter, or if you want to follow my political musings or just being crazy on Facebook, my personal Twitter is at NJGOP Diva. You can also follow the show page at Money Talk Melanie, which is the Facebook page, and all of your most popular forms of social media. The show can be found. The archives can be found, and it's a wonderful, beautiful thing. So I wanted to get that. Make sure I did that little bit of housekeeping. Hi, Jerry McCain. Welcome, Adrian. Hello. So yes, thank you, Michael, for posting a link to NCX Group. Very good. All right. In the news today, China claims that they're going to. China claims they're going to slap new tariffs on the U.S. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. They said they were going to place tariffs on like 138 items that they said they were going to start charging us more on. 25%. on, I'm sorry, but yesterday it was 108, today it's 106 categories. And this includes things like soybeans, airplanes, and cars. Now, you know, what you need to, this is one of the reasons, this little war, none of this has happened yet. Kind of some things you need to know about the tariffs. There's like a grace period, if you will, that the United States is working with before the tariffs are actually enforced. And then China has not said like exactly when it is that they're planning to do this. So, you know, from a female perspective, I'm just like, it's just like two guys being like, mine's bigger, no, mine's bigger. But only they happen to be running countries. So, like that's just what it reminds me of. It's like, guys, just punch each other and get it over with. But this is what's going on financially. It's not a tariff war yet, but the market can be very emotional, and so that's what it's reacting to. Now, if you followed the market today, it dropped. It had like a 700-point swing today. 700 points. It dropped in the beginning and then started to make a comeback. Many people. I'm looking at the reaction buttons. I'm thinking people liked my analogy. I don't know. It's a girl thing. That's what I think of. But the market has a 700-point swing today because it's reacting to this situation. Chris Levels, welcome. Don, hello. Robin, if I missed anybody because the names are going by really fast, I apologize. But howdy to everyone who's in the Facebook chat. So that's what's going on with China and the tariffs. So I just encourage everyone to not freak out. These tariffs may never even happen. And you know how government works. Very, very slowly. It just does. So these tariffs may not even happen. And I believe the market, I didn't see how it closed, but I believe the market closed up today. So I don't think we should be, didn't close up by much, like 150 points or so. Something like that. But with a 700-point swing, that's a lot of volatility. Ugh. Our good friend Mark Zuckerberg, everybody's good friend, and we're all good friends because he's looking at all our information. Like, he knows more. I was talking to Mike about this, who's our guest today. This morning, we were discussing the show. I said, Mark Zuckerberg knows more about me than my doctor does, like, for real. They keep track of so much of your information. Well, he's going to testify in front of the Oversight Committee, the House Oversight Committee, on April 11th. And if anyone's ever seen Mark Zuckerberg talking, I mean, he's obviously a brilliant man, but talking in front of, like, what do they call it, people, not really, not a strong suit of Mark's, that's all. But I'm sure his lawyer will be there to help him. But he's going to testify about all that's going on with their Cambridge Analytica. It's a scandal. It wasn't even really a breach, right? They just allowed them access. And they're supposed to be working on some new innovations to prevent that, which seems to me they should have already been doing that, which is part of the reason why they're in trouble. And he's not testifying in the UK. We're like, which, I mean, from a business perspective, I guess I don't blame him. Like, if you don't have to, why would you? In that situation, probably not an awesome idea for him. So I kind of don't blame him on that one. Okay, what else is going on in the news? The woman that shot up YouTube yesterday in California, she killed herself and injured 3 people. Her name is Nassim. I can't pronounce the rest of her name. I'm not even gonna try. But she's I want to say she's from Iran. Of course, the media doesn't talk about any of that. They don't want to talk about any of that. They're investigating what her motive was. The police are, but her family said that she just really doesn't like YouTube. But I think we are definitely missing some pieces there because a lot of us don't like the fact that YouTube censors us. So I'm thinking maybe she was a couple baskets short of a picnic. I mean, that's not the way you handle your message being suppressed. That's just not the ideal way to handle that, just saying. And welcome, Kenneth, Guillermo, Jerry, hi, Sylvia. So, it's really a sad situation. But one of the things that I just do have to point out that I noticed is that nobody seems to be talking about her ethnicity, right? And nobody's talking about gun control either. Is it because she was a left-wing nut? Vegan, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's talking about that. I'm not hearing a word about any of that. And that's what makes the media so dishonest. Chris Level said the corporate press has dropped this story like a hot piece of coal. You got that right. Exactly. And Craig Wilson said Mashable was caught making her white with blue eyes in her picture. No one's shocked here. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. I want to welcome Shonda to the Facey Chat. Before I go to break, we'll be back in a couple of minutes with our guest today, Mike FitzPatrick, founder and CEO of NCX Group. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
When it comes to national security, some people don't know nothing and got that mixed up. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, for decades, millions of illegal border crossers have been pouring into our republic with ease. As a result, America has approximately 33 million illegal border crossers. Many receive better health care than millions of sovereign Americans. It is also estimated that 1 million foreign terrorists and or gang members are seeking who to kill, steal from, rape, sell drugs to, or capture for human trafficking. One of the best ways to protect a nation is to secure the borders with a wall and strict enforcement of keeping illegal border crossers out. Unfortunately, just despite Trump, many in Congress want our borders to remain porous. Economically, it is a $160 billion price tag to us taxpayers. So when retired General Marty Dempsey claimed that President Trump's request to divert money from the military budget to pay for the wall would create a shortfall, I concluded his open borders tendencies has impaired his judgment. When the wall is completed and the borders secured, there will be an immediate $160 billion savings in the cost of dealing with illegal border crossers. No nation can remain strong or even survive if its borders are not secure. Anyone elected to Congress who does not want to secure our borders should be denied their security. I'm Ron Edwards, sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how legally hiring your spouse and children can slash your taxes. Learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the benefits of setting up an exit plan, how to avoid getting audited, and how to legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Visit TaxMama.com. Click on Ask a Tax Question to get free answers to your tax and business questions. That's TaxMama.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and my guest today is the one and only Mike FitzPatrick, founder and CEO of NCX Group Security. And we're going to talk to him today about your social media and you, Deloitte & Taylor and the Panera Bread breach, and also the ransomware attack that the city of Atlanta suffered from, I guess, or was a victim of. And without further ado, Mike FitzPatrick, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. This is my favorite part of today.
Oh, you must have really had a lousy day. I'm so sorry. I'm kidding. No, I appreciate that. It's definitely the best part of my day, for sure. So what part do you want to let's tackle Facebook first, since we're sitting here on Facebook.
I was going to say ladies' choice. So
let's do Facebook first. Let's talk about Facey first.
Okay.
Now, I looked the other day because, of course, it was going around the internet that Facebook keeps all these labels. Now, in conservative circles, it's a badge of honor. Everybody wants to know like how they're categorized. I am certain that you do not find Facebook's tracking of our data and information very funny from a security perspective, and particularly the fact that they use our information for profit.
Well, I think if you go back and watch the movie, The Social Network, now with some fresh eyes, I think everything will fall into place with what they do. The particular incident that is being called a breach, which really isn't a breach, is a situation where Facebook sold access to one of their third-party app providers. It's like the game stuff that you do on Facebook or some quiz. And in this particular case, it was a particular quiz that you click on there to allow that company to access your information. You don't know what information they're taking from your Facebook page. So Cambridge Analytica received that information from that third-party app company. That's who they bought it from. So the problem here is the way that Facebook has to monetize through advertising and through games and through those kinds of things it's expected, right? You're trading security for convenience or convenience for fun.
Right.
So you have to understand that that's the deal with the devil that you've made. That they're going to take your information, they're going to sell it, and they're going to profit off of it in a major way.
Exactly. And, you know, you and I were talking about it this morning, and I was like, you know, it's kind of like a barter system, right? Like, you know, they give us the use of their platform, and in return, they, you know, sell our data, basically, or they use our data to make money. The fact that they have that data is probably more accurate in order to make money.
But see, they're not the only ones. This whole freemium model that inhabits the internet, I mean, with Google, with searches, with email, I mean, how many of us out there have a Gmail account? Because I got to tell you, all your information's being sold from it.
From Gmail?
So, oh, well, advertisers, they're using what you write about to sell you ads.
What do you mean what I write about?
Ads and,
hang on. What do you mean? Wow. Hold on. What do you mean?
This shouldn't be surprising.
Especially not to me in particular. But I am a little bit surprised. Shonda in the chat says that, you know, Facebook goes too far, that they keep too much information on us. Oh, wow. Shonda said they went as far as to label her family multicultural. Like, why is that their business? She didn't even tell them that. Wow.
Well, okay, so when you look at it from an advertiser standpoint, I mean, one of the best vehicles in the world from a business standpoint to advertise on is Facebook. Why? Because of the targeting that you can do based upon location, based upon city, based upon ethnic background, based upon likes, dislikes, those kinds of things. You can get incredibly pinpoint with Facebook advertising. So from a business standpoint, there's real value in that. So the more ways they slice and dice us, the more that they can sell advertising to different entities that want our eyeballs.
Wait a minute. Something just occurred to me with Facebook. So I just reacted to someone's comment, and I'm just thinking, so the reaction buttons were not just like this awesome, cool thing for us to be able to express ourselves? Is that what you're saying?
So you think Facebook's benevolent? Okay, all right.
So what just occurred to me is like basically everything that I love, you know, registers in their algorithms or in their data. Stuff that I hate will register there. Like,
absolutely.
Wow. I just really thought they were being geniuses and wanted people to interact more and be able to express themselves. And that it had absolutely...
but they benefit from that reaction. I mean, any of the social platforms do, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Pinterest. I mean, that's what they count on. That's how they sell advertising.
Now, I will say, I feel like I saw I didn't realize like whether or not I told them I was African American or not. I didn't think I did, but they figured it out some kind of way. I don't know. I probably have mentioned it. I've mentioned it in some posts, but they know that. That was I looked and that was on mine too. African American. I was like, I don't remember telling you that. Did they just look at my picture? Like, how did they know?
How many times have you gone online to search for something and then the ads for that thing show up in your Facebook feed?
Yes. Now, I looked at that as a happy accident and just convenient. And what I hear you saying is that it was quite intentional. And listen, not for nothing, I actually appreciate that. I don't want to like Home Depot advertisement, hammers and nails and tools when I really just want to look at dresses.
Well, you know, it's funny because a mutual friend of ours did some shopping within a Walmart, and it was here in California, and he did some shopping in a Walmart, and he got back to Washington, D.C., and did some searching for some things at Walmart.com, and lo and behold, all the things that he bought in California showed up in Walmart.com when he visited.
Wow.
He had never purchased anything online from Walmart.com in the past. So Walmart evidently is doing tracking, geo-tracking, based upon your cell phone when you walk into the facility, correlating that data to what you purchased at the time and where you were within the store based upon your cell phone. And then knew when he came back in through another internet presence that he was a past visitor. And so the correlation of data in the mall out here by my house, I guess it was 3 years ago, they announced that they were doing a pilot program tracking where you went within the mall and what stores you went to, and so there's companies that do all of this, that track you where you go in the mall, where you spend time, what things you look at, all based upon your cell phone.
And I've noticed that, like, I don't go to the mall very often because I'm old and I now hate them. But the last time I was at a mall, I think I may have been in DC or Maryland, and I walked by a Verizon store, and I got a text message that was like, "Hey, you just stopped by the Verizon store. Would you like anything?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, hey!" Like, I was not good with that. Does it look a little too close?
You're on an Android platform then, right?
Yes, probably because of Google. Oh, my word. And see, I don't have a fundamental problem with it, except for the fact that, like, there's some evil that can be done. And what are the evils that can be done with all of these things, Mike?
Well, okay, so look at it this way. You hadn't even left the location yet, and Google had already sold your location to Verizon so they could sell you an ad.
Oh, that's the evil. Yeah, that's not
okay.
Good.
So they know wherever, because you can't shut off location services on that Android phone. You can't shut off the mic. Google's listening to everything that goes on, and that's how they're teaching their artificial intelligence engine. And I'm not speculating on that. That's their guy that's running their AI engine, Ray Kurzweil, has said that multiple times in an interview. So either we believe what they're telling us and really listen to what they're saying and escape this fantasy world, but they're tracking everything. You know, we were talking this morning, a lot of people, when you go to a website, a little help window will pop up on the website, say, you know, enter your email address and let me help you kind of thing. Well, when that window comes up, because I've used them in the past in the business, I can tell, it will show me geographically on a map where you are in the world. It'll show me your home address. It will show me.
Wait, whoa, hang on. Back it up. Did you say it will show you my home address?
Yeah.
And that's like when you go onto like any random website, right? And they're like, hey, if you need someone to talk to, you can chat. Those pop-ups.
So they ask you for your name and your email address, right?
Right.
So once you give them that, it tells me what carrier you're using. It tells me where in the country you are. I can drill down in the map. I can pull up a street view on Google. I can see your house. Not live, not real time, but I can see your house and what it looks like.
Do you know how far behind that is? It used to be about 3 years, and we're talking about Google Maps and Google Earth, right? How far? But do you have any idea how far behind they are? Like how far behind the images are? Like
I think they're a year. I think they're a year or two. Actually, Google was driving my city probably about 3 weeks ago, refreshing everything.
Oh, wonderful. And I don't even know if people know about Google Earth, but if you go to Google Earth and look at your address, you can see your house. You can see your car sitting outside. Like it's really Creepy. Now it's not real time. It is like Mike just said. It used. I recall it used to be about 3 years behind. They probably have tightened that up to maybe 1 year or 2 years. But still, like if you've lived in that residency, and I mean, do you really want people to be? It's helpful in many ways. You know, it does help, but it's creepy that they have access to that much information. And Shonda in the chat said, you know, basically we have no privacy, and we really like.
Well, I mean, look at it this way: the East German Stasi would love what we're giving away for free. They used to go to great lengths to put in bugs into people's homes to listen to them, but yet we go through and we just share everything on Facebook. What we like, don't like, bosses we don't like, issues that we've got at work, issues that we've got with family or friends or whatever it is. And we just do this thinking that somebody's going to be benevolent, when that may or may not be the case. It all depends on whose hands it falls into at the end of the day. So you have to be cautious with what you do in social media. I've got a lot of friends that will go through and post pictures from where they are on vacation. Awesome. Guess what you just told the bad guys?
Right, that you're not
home.
You're
on vacation and you're not home.
Right. I got a mutual friend of ours I got in trouble with because I did that when we were at the same event in Ohio, and I had posted that I wasn't home. Now my reasoning for that was because I'm a single girl and I was traveling by myself, and I want people to know where the heck I am. And not you know, in case I disappear. But I'm sure Google will know where I am. But you know, my housing situation is such that you would not know that there's nobody here when there's nobody here. Let's just put it that way without revealing too much. But he was very concerned, and I got in trouble. He's like, "Don't post that stuff," and I'm like, "Dude, come on now. I understand, but if you go to my house, you will not know that I'm not home. Just put it that way. But yeah, but that's a valid concern.
It's one of those safety things, right? It's one of those safety things.
It's true. It definitely is. I mean, you hate to have to think that way, but people's homes have definitely been broken into when they're posting like, you know, we're on the family vacation, and it's highly likely nobody's going to be home if they you know, nefarious characters know where you live.
It's really interesting. I guess it was probably 6 or 8 months ago. I was asked to do an interview for a small business publication in Austin, Texas, and you know, I wanted to read some of the things the author had written to make sure that wasn't getting blasted somehow, some way. So one of the pieces that she wrote was on privacy, was on how for her son's 14th birthday, she gave him the gift of privacy by allowing him to have his own Facebook account. Now, personally, I don't believe children should be allowed to have a Facebook account or a social media account until they're 18 years old.
I agree.
Simply because the human traffickers use these social media tools to lure our kids out of the house. It's an out-and-out safety issue. My son just turned 18. He doesn't have a social media presence at all. It's something we told him about the dangers of it. The fact that you've got adults pretending to be children and friending you online, it's just a bad situation. And quite frankly, being a security guy, I wanted to keep him off the grid as long as I possibly can.
And I don't blame you. I mean, the other night I got an offer from someone that I have 375 mutuals with. Okay.
Wow.
Offered to sell me weed and pills, etc., without a prescription. And I said, no, I'm not an idiot, but I said, legally? And he's like, oh yeah, it's legal. I'm like, yeah, it's not. But this is, I mean, but I'm, you know, I'm a grown woman who like knows enough to know that that's a bunch of buffoonery. But well, kids don't know.
You know, I think parents, and you have a view of this in high school, I think parents should really reconsider allowing their kids to have a social media presence whatsoever. There is no need for these kids to have a social presence and be online. And all you're doing is inviting bullying, inviting attacks, inviting a lot of the things that goes on in the high schools these days that happens on social media, whether it's Twitch, whether it's Snapchat, whether it's Instagram, whatever the case is. You're opening your kids up and exposing them to things that, quite frankly, they don't need to deal with until they actually understand the ways of the world, my opinion.
No, and as someone who's an educator and sees the effects of social media, I completely agree. I mean, not only is it dangerous, but it's addicting. And if you go to, I think it's YouTube, and look up the Facebook founders, they talk about the fact that they know that social media is addicting. And that's another reason why really your kids should not have access to it. They completely lack the maturity. Heck, a lot of adults lack the maturity to stay off of social media. It's the truth.
It's a dopamine hit.
It is.
Dopamine hit, right?
Yep.
You know, you take a look at your screen. Does somebody like what I said? You know, post. Am I getting validated? You know, all of those things. But every time you contribute something to Facebook, I mean, on my Facebook, the only reason I have it is because of business, and I stay in touch with primarily friends from high school and a couple of other, friends like yourself. And so I sit here, and Melanie can attest this, on my Facebook page, it's a lot of political stuff because it's the one place I get to vent. And two, I share no pictures of my family.
No.
There's no pictures of my son. I don't even mention my son's name. I say my son. I don't, or I'll use his initial. I don't do anything like that. I don't use Messenger on my cell phone because most of the people, the way their data is being compromised and being collected is off of Facebook Messenger.
Facebook Messenger is a huge culprit of the data situation. Humongous. And
well, I was just going to say, it's a line from the Water Boy, Facebook Messenger's the devil, Bobby Boucher. But
no, it is. Messenger's actually the worst. I have tried to delete Messenger. I've deleted Messenger like 3 times. And what has happened, and I'm sure it's by design, what ends up happening is there's some information. I'm on the road, out running the streets. And I'm like, oh, what was that address? What was that phone number? Where's that event again? And then it's in Messenger, and I got to go get it. And it's back on my doggone phone.
But if you go through the web access, you can get to all that information without having that app on your phone.
Oh, that's a good idea. In other words, go through my Google browser. Who'll be keeping track of that? We'll also be
tracking you too.
True. It's true. And so how can we, is it possible if you want to be active in social media, but you also want to be safe? Is it possible to be safe?
I think you have to. It comes down to, and we've talked about this before, right? Security versus convenience, and you just highlighted that.
Right.
So the question is, you have to be disciplined in what you choose to put on social media. There's a young lady that I talked to at one point in time. She baby sat for us when my son was younger, and she has a habit of venting about how bad her boss is on Facebook all the time. And she's 21, 22 now. And so I had a conversation with her, and I said, I'm hired. We're hired by companies to go search out your social profiles to see what your life is. To take a look at, are you partying? Is there the pictures of you smoking weed? What kind of conversations do you have, right? Because as a background check, because here in California, I can't ask if you've been to prison anymore. I have to actually go do a real background check. And so you go through, and here she is, complaining about this boss or that boss, and what it, F this and F that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, if I'm going to hire, I'm not going to hire you because I don't want you slamming me.
And not only that, and teaching a financial lit class and teaching a computer applications class, I used to tell my students, like, profanity, you should use the same decorum in social media that you use in front of your, I don't mean to say grandmother anymore, because some of these grandmothers are off the hook, in front of your great-grandmother. In front of your great-grandmother. If you wouldn't say, because grandmothers are like 39 now. But in front of your great-grandmother, use that same language. Like, if you wouldn't say it in front of them, don't say it online. Like, your perception, and listen, a mutual friend of ours talks to me regularly about my brand and about my perception, about how people perceive me online. And for anybody, any professional, not just people in the media, it is a tough thing. And I think discipline is key, like you mentioned, that you have to be disciplined. And it can be hard.
It can. I was contacted by a friend. He lives in Hollywood, and we've known each other since we were 13 years old. And he's a record producer, and he was asking me about the Apple iCloud breach probably 2 or 3 years ago, where some celebrities had their nude photos hit off their iCloud. Jennifer Lawrence comes to mind.
I remember that.
And so he asked me, he says, so what do you think? And I said, well, the first bad decision was putting those photographs on your iCloud account.
Yeah, why?
Why?
Why did you need to save that? Like, I don't understand.
Well, she obviously wanted access to them wherever she went. But the point is, you have to be choosy with what you allow out of your control. And putting things into a third party's hands, any third party's hands, is something that you don't need to care about, right? That it isn't going to impact you, it isn't going to harm you, it isn't going to expose anything. It's basic security. You control the stuff that's important, and the things that just want to have out there for fun, put them out there for fun. But any digital photos like that, go back to the old days of the Polaroids, for gosh sake.
Thank you. Exactly. And I want you to tell the audience this, and I'm not sure if people realize this. Who owns all your photos on Facebook? Do we own them?
Say that again?
I said, who owns our photos on Facebook? All the photos that we upload from various places, the memes, all of that stuff. Who owns those photos?
Facebook. You've given them the right through their terms and conditions.
That's right. Every single photo that you see, just like because it has your name on it, does not mean that it's yours. It's not.
Go back and watch again about the launch of Facebook. One of the reasons he loves the fact that everybody contributes is he doesn't have to deal with copyright.
And the same thing with Google Drive, right? Same situation.
Right. Well, up until 2 years ago, I guess it is, anything that you created in Google Docs, business, and you got intellectual property, and you created your spreadsheets for it there for your financial analysis, and then you created your business plan in Google Doc. Guess what? That IP isn't yours. It's Google's, according to their terms and conditions.
Yeah, and that's scary. And I mean, let's not even, get into the things that they filter based on their ideology and all of that fun stuff. And you're talking all the big social media companies do it. Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. They all do it. They all suppress messages. And that's another, to me, it seems that would be a violation somehow of the Constitution, but are they on okay legal standing because they own the platform? Is that how that works?
Well, the problem is we've all agreed to the terms and conditions. No one read them. We just got to the button that says accept, and we moved on. So you don't have to use their platform, but in order to use their platform, you have to agree to their terms. And unfortunately, read these things. Even in business, when companies are moving to the cloud, for example, they're not reading the terms and conditions and understanding that the cloud provider is not responsible in any way, shape, or form for a data security breach, a power outage, lost revenues, a ransomware attack, any of these things. They're not responsible. It's all you, even though you're not running the equipment.
Wow. I don't know if you saw this question in the Facey chat, which is actually a really good one. Chris Levels asked, do VPNs protect you as much as they claim, like Virtual Shield? First, give a quick and dirty on what a VPN is, and if you could answer that, I'd appreciate it. Do VPNs, do they protect you?
So a VPN is what's called a virtual private network. And basically, the concept of it is you're carving off a section or a set of communications that's encrypted. And you're talking point to point at that point, at that time. So VPNs are probably less effective today than they were 10 years ago. It's still a way, but VPNs can be compromised as well. If I'm able to monitor your chat and able to capture the connection at the time that you're making the VPN connection, then I'm in with you. So you have to deal with potential outside threats. There's a lot of people now that will use a VPN if they're at a Starbucks and they think they're safe with that. The reality is you're not. I mean, it's if you're going to Starbucks and using their hotspot, it's like going to a disco in the 70s. You're going to catch something.
It's the Studio 54 of Wi-Fi. And for those of you youngins who don't know what we're talking about, Google it. Look it up. They were really popular until HIV jumped on the scene. Then not so much. But what?
Yeah, you're gonna catch something. It's not gonna be good.
For sure. Now, Michael Patterson, posted a Google search, my name and images. And while you were talking, I clicked on it. And what happens is basically, I don't know, 20 or so images of me come up. And basically everything I've done. Like my show, of course, pictures come up. Sirius XM comes up. A couple of shows appearances that I did on other people's shows comes up. But a whole lot of pictures from my publicists come up. It's yeah, that's a little creepy. Just saying. Thanks a lot for that, Michael. I'm gonna sleep really well tonight.
No, I mean and again, this is why I've tried to keep my son off of social media, because whatever you share online, whatever is published online, will stay with you the rest of your life online.
And that's no joke. Listen, I've run for public office here locally. I just want to share kind of an experience that's an example of this. Now, I'm old enough to have had a MySpace account. One of the first things they tell you, if anybody's ever run for office, one of the first things your campaign manager will tell you, if he's a good one, is to scrub your social media. You need to go, before you even announce that you're running, your campaign manager is going to tell you to scrub your social media. Go through, take out anything and everything that could possibly reflect negatively on you. Here's the problem with that. The problem with that is that you never know how people are going to take or use that information. And it could be something perfectly innocent. I had put on my Facebook profile when I first got my Facebook account, which was in like 2008, 9, something like that, under books, I put, I don't like to read anything deeper than O Magazine. I would think that's an obvious joke, which it was. I was kidding. But what my opponent put in my local paper, do we really want to elect someone who doesn't read anything deeper than O Magazine? Now, that's a perfect example of how an innocent comment could have a negative impact on you. It's perfectly innocent. But this person went through and combed through. I mean, the first thing, some of the things you take out pictures of you with alcohol, you take out any profanity, God forbid, even if someone else, any of that stuff, you want to scrub it. And even with that, people will use what you post. And there's no, you were just feeling some type of way at the time, joking around, and someone can use that information against you. That's the really scary thing.
Well, and you look at what can be done and taken out of context on Facebook, not just for political campaigns, but against your business, against you personally. It is amazing, and we've always talked about this. Technology is a double-edged sword, right? It can be used for good, and the other side can be used for bad. And so you have to understand who you're sharing it with. Again, the people on Facebook, for me, on my Facebook profile, I actually know every one of them. I've either had conversations with them like yourself, or I've met them personally, or my God, they go back with me 40 years to high school. So I know these people. I feel free to share within that group. And, there's only 250 people that I'm friends with on Facebook. Now, the public side of Mike is, there's 13,000 followers of my personal Twitter account, and I think there's almost 13,000 of MTX itself on a Twitter standpoint. There is nothing controversial shared on those two, except maybe scores of Cowboys games.
Yeah,
that's about it.
I've been told you only use your social media for, to promote your show. And listen, and it's not that I don't think that's great advice. I do think that's great advice. But I've been in the media for a year, and I've been on Facebook for 10. So like I need reform. I need to be reformed, because I totally understand that. Michael Patterson in the chat asks where the primary DNS server is for the internet. Where is that located? I'm not sure I quite understand that question. What about you?
Well, yeah, and what he's looking for is the directory, the name directory. Quite frankly, it's distributed across the network and the backbone. ICANN is the primary DNS record lookup for the internet. Up until President Obama, that was under the control of the United States, and he gave that away.
Yes.
So I'm not sure who has control of ICANN at this point.
I remember that. I forgot about that. I'm still mad about that. I'm glad you brought that up. Now, I want to talk briefly about a couple of breaches before we close the show. Panera Breads, right, had a breach,
right,
and my Fitness Pal had breaches. And the reason why I bring these specific apps up is because when I was doing research for the show, I found a couple of like kind of snarky tweets, and I have actually said similar to the snarky tweets, which were like, oh, well, do I really care if somebody, knows if I ordered the soup? I think I said on my show the other day about my Fitness Pal getting hacked. Like, okay, so somebody knows I haven't exercised in 3 months. Who cares? But I'm sure that I should be more concerned about those things. Tell us why.
Okay, so my Fitness Pal, and well, let's start with Panera Bread. Understand that Panera Bread has passed the compliance requirement for retailers of PCI. There's no doubt in my mind that they passed it. And this is a great example. Them and Lord & Taylor is a great example of something you always hear me say. and that is compliance is not security. Compliance is compliance, and they should, quite frankly, just give you a gold star because that's all it's worth. It's not going to make you secure. These breaches that you see in retail, all of these companies passed PCI compliance, Target passed. You can go down a list. They all passed. So that being said, compliance doesn't work. It just makes you compliant. It actually probably makes us, in my opinion, less secure than just focusing on securing the critical data. We now have to meet all of these multitude of controls for making somebody compliant. So that's first. The Under Armour breach, what was it, MyFitnessPal?
Yeah, MyFitnessPal. Yeah, it was owned by Under Armour, right?
Right. So that was almost 2 billion people worldwide is the size of that breach. So they have your name, they have your address, they have your email, and all of these things. So on the surface, you go, okay, that's probably been exposed I don't know how many times. But you go through and what the hackers will do is correlate all of that data on the back end on the dark web, and they'll build bigger profiles for you that are more valuable for sale on the black market. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that doesn't make me happy. So in other words, they can use that information to like cross-check the stuff that they already have.
Correct.
And thus, I would think it increases the value of that information when it's been verified in several different places.
Correct. I mean, the two most valuable things from the black market standpoint, one is a full credit file, and number two is your medical file. One of the biggest areas of crime is medical identity theft. It's at a tune of about $40 billion a year now, with people going and getting surgeries that is based upon your health insurance, but they're getting the benefit of your health insurance.
What?
And you getting stiffed with the bill. Yeah, this has been going on for about 6 or 7 years now. So those are the two most valuable. The third, probably a close second, would actually be a mortgage application. And so you want to be cautious of that. We've actually seen mortgage companies, when their files get full, when everybody's going through and refining, they'll actually take all the old files and they'll just dump them in a dumpster rather than shredding them.
Excuse me?
So you have to be careful with this stuff.
Yeah, because people can take out loans on your house and things like that without you even knowing, because they have access to the title.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
And that's just darn near frightening. We have about a minute left. Well, it's not darn near frightening. It is frightening. We have about a minute left. Please tell the folks how to get in touch with you. Tell them about your podcast, because it totally rocks, and how to follow you on Twitter.
Okay, so follow us on Facebook and Twitter. It's @NCX Group. And the podcast that I need to be a little bit more regular on is called Bite Size Security. And it's meant to be a 3 to 5 minute rant on a subject. And it's just trying to make security a little bit more understandable for the business owners out there. The small business owners are absolutely more at risk than anybody else. I mean, you've heard the old expression, knife to a gunfight. It's really maybe a slingshot to a gunfight for small businesses. So there are things that you can do, and we can help with those. You can go to our website, ncxgroup.com, if you want to get in touch with us. That's probably the best place. And I think that's about it.
That is wonderful. As usual, fantastic job. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so looking forward to the breaches that we'll be able to talk about next month.
Me too.
Listen, you got kids in college, right? Keeping you in business.
Right. I got college to pay for, people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody in SHR Media Land and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio Land. Thank you so much for the compliment, Jerry McCain. I want to thank all you guys in the Fazy chat. Great questions, great participation. You guys rock. I want you all to remember that this is important because after all, it's your money. Have a great night.